This is John Colo with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you, and this is an update video of what's going on in my garden. This is the fall/winter update, and we are here about the middle of November. And I'm going to show you guys what's going on, and also I'm going to share some tips with you on actually how and when I basically pull out plants, harvest, and when I'm ready to plant new stuff. So what we're looking at here is my front yard, and this is the raised beds here that I have in the front yard, and this is grew Kakai pumpkins and another kind of pumpkin, and I forget the name, up monster trellis. And I actually have a video showing you guys how to make a monster trellis yourself for really inexpensive. You can see this trellis goes up like 6 feet tall, and you can see some of the huge pumpkin leaves, and it looks like the trellis is working really well. You can see here's a nice huge Kakai pumpkin. Now this style pumpkin is the kind I'm choosing to grow because actually the seeds inside here are the green little seeds that are hulless. So actually I like to eat the hulless seeds, and you know what? When you grow it yourself, nothing tastes better. And I want to encourage you guys to always eat whole foods. See my hat? I got a new hat. I don't work at Whole Foods, don't worry about it, but I want to encourage you guys to eat whole foods. And whole foods, I don't mean foods out of the Whole Foods store, out of the grocery store, because they have a lot of processed foods. I want to encourage you guys to eat whole and real natural foods that you grow yourself, like these pumpkins here. In any case, aside from the pumpkins I have growing up top, along the bottom here, you can see I have a whole lot of peppers growing here, and they're just like down below, and they're getting shaded out a lot, but nonetheless, they're still ripening up really good. Here's another pumpkin that escaped the trellis, and this is the other kind I grew. These almost look like a fairy tale pumpkin. These are supposed to have really delicious edible flesh when it's raw and be a nice orange color. I'm kind of waiting for them to ripen up, and they haven't yet. Anyways, let's head into the yard and show you guys what's currently growing and what's actually getting pulled and gonna start growing soon. In the middle of the summer, one of the things that didn't like the heat were the runner beans, and the runner beans basically kind of stopped production when it got really hot, but now that it's cooled down a little bit, they're putting on the beans. I like to eat the young baby beans, the small ones, right off the plant raw. They're actually quite good. Maybe about this size, they're actually quite good raw like that. Otherwise, you could actually save these for the dried beans, to eat or actually to replant. So I'm actually saving some seed there. Oh, here they are right here. These are the dried seed pods, and you could just go ahead and open these guys up here and check it out. These cool seeds or beans falling right out there. Oh, don't lose any. There you go. These are the Native American runner beans, and I like growing these guys a lot. These guys vine up a lot, and actually I grew the sunchokes next door, and they just literally vined up the sunchoke plants. So that's definitely really cool. One of the things on the way out, which you'll see, I started cutting these down the other day, is the sunchokes, because it has gotten cooler. They're pretty much at their end, so when they turn brown, that's when they're ready to be harvested. I'll basically cut them off at the base to let me know that I have some underneath the ground right there. And then later, when I need them, I'll harvest them as I need them. You don't want to just go underneath and harvest them all and then put them in your fridge, because if you do that, they're going to actually go bad faster. They like to stay stored underneath the ground, and we'll show you a good example of that in the backyard. Because we're at the end of the season, a lot of things are going to flower and seed, including this guy right here. This is the edible chrysanthemum, or also called tung ho. You can eat the flowers. They're kind of harsh and bitter, but I actually grow these guys for little delicate greens. They're greens that taste like no other. It's totally amazing. In addition, we got this guy right here. This is the wakate that grew up, probably about 4 feet, and it's now going to flower and seed. Looks really pretty. Has a nice smell too. I use this like cilantro. In addition, we got the stradolo. The stradolo right here is flowering and seeding, and that's been doing that for a while. In addition, we got the roselle, and the roselle actually, when it started cooling down a little bit, it's lost its vitality. We still have a couple buds we could harvest there. We got the bee balm. It's growing really well, and I'm harvesting the flowers off here to eat. And of course, in the front bed, we also got one of my favorite things to grow right here. This is the Malabar spinach, and the Malabar spinach is growing really well here. It's actually one of my beds have gotten eaten by slugs, but the thing you got to remember when you're growing Malabar spinach is you want to put up a nice trellis or stakes so that it can climb. It loves to climb, and it's literally climbed around and literally can be suffocating potentially the other plants, to get some altitude and to get more sun. I've already started to pull some of my crops out, because it is starting to get cold. What was here was my tomatoes, and we pull all these guys out now because we want to start planting out for the fall and winter. You don't want to wait too long until you plant because you want to get some things in the ground now and have some time to get established before it gets really cold and actually the days get a lot shorter. So, you know, I like to not pull out everything at once because then that's a lot of work. But if you pull out a small section at a time, I could go ahead and now next, you know, plant this out. And then by that time, I'll work on the next item I need to actually pull out and start planting. Now, I pulled out the tomatoes first because the tomatoes really like the warm weather more than the cucumbers and the peppers. You know, in the cooler weather, tomatoes will still produce, but they're not going to have that nice, flavorful tomato, and the full flavors aren't going to develop because they don't have the heat to do that. So we harvested all we could. We basically pulled them, and now we're ready to plant some greens for the winter time. Right now, I currently still have some of the summer crops in, such as these guys, the lemon cucumbers. You can see they're still actually producing, and there's some flowers up here. Now, you might be wondering, you know, these leaves are looking a little bit rough, and that's because, you know, I'm getting white powdery mildew, and, you know, you could try to spray for that stuff, you know, different things and whatnot. But you know what? It's coming to the end of the season. The nights are getting moist, and there's, you know, moisture left on the leaves, and it's just going to happen anyway. So you could try to fight it, or you could just, you know, let Mother Nature take its course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let these guys, you know, work their way out, and hopefully by the time I'm done planting the tomato bed, these guys will be able to get pulled, and then I'll be able to replant this one because this is the one that I'm probably going to pull next. You can see in this bed, this actually bed is going to happen really soon, probably right after the tomatoes. This is where my basil was, and the basil pretty much not making it too well. There's a little bit left, but it's gotten too cold for the basil. What has been doing well is the Malabar spinach. You know, it keeps trucking on through until it gets a freeze. The problem I've had with the Malabar spinach this year, though, is basically got Swiss cheese Malabar spinach because I got a bug infestation. I think that's of some slugs, basically. So not looking too good there. So yeah, we're gonna probably pull this bed up and replant more winter greens as well. One of the things that have done really well for me this year, and actually one of my favorite crops that I'm growing, are my peppers. So I have a lot of peppers, both sweet and hot, mostly sweet with some hot ones mixed in, and they've done extremely well. Now the peppers, in my opinion, are more, you know, cold tolerant. They still can't survive a frost, but they're more cold tolerant than the tomatoes and the cucumber. So these I'll be pulling out absolutely last after we get a full frost and it hits it. Meanwhile, I'm going to start harvesting all the ripe peppers and all the peppers that are mostly ripe so that they can continue the ripening process inside, because they will start to do that. Over on this side, we got a cool situation happening. I got a milk thistle plant, and a milk thistle plant is a thistle. And most people would never plant a milk thistle in their garden. You might not want to either because they can be really nasty plants with thorns and whatnot. I planted one in a container. The seeds got away. It grew one here last year, and then basically the seeds dropped, and check it out. I got a whole patch of baby milk thistle. And these guys actually got nice sharp leaves here. But the thing I want to point out to you guys is, you know, when the plant is a baby, let me see if I can find one. Here's a baby plant right here. When they're baby plants, they don't really have the thorns. Their first set of leaves, which is not the true leaves, or actually don't have any thorns. The true leaves in the middle do have thorns. So what I've been doing is actually I just pull these guys out. Eat them right up. So these are like literally milk thistle sprouts. Now they say that milk thistle is very healing for the liver. So, you know, besides eating the sprouts, I'll also actually take these baby greens, because these baby milk thistle, you know, it doesn't have the sharp spines on it yet. I mean, yeah, they'll hurt you a little bit, but you could actually take these, and I like to actually blend these up in the juicer and the blender. Now, these, the milk thistle, I see more of a food as a medicine, so I'm not eating like massive quantities of this, but I'll put a few leaves in my juice every day to, you know, ensure I get some of the nutrients that are in the milk thistle, because when was the last time you had milk thistle leaves? Speaking of thorny plants, another thorny plant that can literally be a pain in my behind, or at least a pain in my leg or arm or finger sometimes. This guy right here, this is my lychee tomato, and you can see right now it's in full production. I mean, it is the middle of November, and that's one of the reasons why I like this plant. It's cold tolerant. It'll basically, you know, it's related to the tomato. It'll survive the cold weather here in Northern California. Plus, it's probably the first to produce fruits, and also the last one to give fruits up. Last year, I think I was even harvesting these guys in January, believe it or not. So these guys are ripening up here. Let me go ahead and pull one of these guys for you. Actually, I'm getting stuck in the back as I'm speaking to you. Not too fun. And I've noticed these guys, the fruit will start to crack on you a little bit, and that's all right. And there's a nice large lychee tomato, and that's a larger one. You know, they usually are fairly small, about the size of a large cherry tomato. Wow, that's an exceptionally good one. The seeds are kind of hard like a bell pepper, but you could crunch them up and eat them. And the fruit, it's mildly sweet. Now, most of the time, if you don't pick them ripe, then they're not going to be mildly sweet. This is mildly sweet. I don't know. Every time it tastes different to me. This time it tastes between like a pepper, like a ripe bell pepper, and a tomato. Oh, it's quite delicious. Besides all the lychee tomatoes that are dropping because they're truly ripe, and you can save the seeds at this point when they drop off the plant, they're viable seeds, and actually these guys will actually sprout up as weeds next year, so I'm sure I'll have a lot of volunteers coming up. Another thing in season right now are my fijoas, or pineapple guavas. You can see the ground is just littered with the pineapple guavas. And these guys are one of my favorite fruits. I've literally been living on meals of the pineapple guava since I have so many. I have only 4 trees, and I definitely have a lot of pineapple guavas, like boxes and boxes. It's insane. So these guys, I think, are just a few years old, but the trees on the other side are many more years. And you know, these are unnamed varieties, so we could talk about that for a second. Now, the ones on this side of the house tend not to taste quite as sweet as the ones on the other side. So I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe I need to ramp up the rock dust and work on the soil more on this side of the house. One of my favorite things that I grow are my fruit trees, and besides the fijoas that you just saw, I also have some fig trees. And yes, even in late November, we're still ripening some figs here. And actually, this is a Janus seedless fig. So this has no seeds supposedly, and check it out. Nice, juicy inside there. Definitely a good fig, especially for middle of November. Here's just some of the massive peppers I grew. Check it out. I mean, these plants are literally loaded up, and this is what happens when you combine, you know, good watering practices. And actually, this one actually has the Earth Mister system. It's probably oxygenating under the ground. And look at how it worked. I mean, this thing is loaded up. Also, make sure you have good soil. I got good soil, good rock dust, and man, you'll be rewarded with literally tonnage of peppers. One of the things I like to do is use every possible square inch or square foot of my yard to grow food, and this is literally just a little walkway, and we built a little small raised bed that's only, you know, literally 5 inches wide and, you know, several feet long. We planted a row of cucumbers, and these are some Japanese cucumbers, and yes, the leaves are definitely looking rough end of the season there, but check it out. I've been harvesting cucumbers off it, and it's still even putting out flowers and little baby fruits. So, you know, just because something looks bad doesn't mean you need to pull it. I'm going to just let these guys produce as long as they're gonna, and then I'll finally pull them when I have to, and then this will get replaced with some sugar snap peas for the winter. Another thing that you can do that sometimes I don't recommend is actually grow a tree in a container. I have a ceramic container here with an apple tree. And this apple tree is staying alive, but it's not really producing because, number one, it's not getting enough sun, and number two, this container is actually, you know, too small for the apple tree. So you always want to put, you know, trees, if you do have them in containers, in the largest container as possible that you can afford, and also lift if you need to move them. Right behind me here is something that's done extremely well this year, and this is the leaves on this. Oh, check it out! I got some ripe ones. This is impressive. So this is my, oh, and these are totally ripe. These are my passion fruits right here, and we're going to go ahead and pick this guy. We'll see how this is and see if it's a dud or not. And this is a passion fruit, and this guy's supposed to be cold tolerant, and this is a orange variety. Haven't seen that before. Oh, and this is the kind that I was not really wanting to be growing, because this is the kind that's actually not too flavorful. But, you know, this is cold hardy, and I thought this was a little bit different variety, but it's got these little red seeds, and these seeds, while they are edible, they're flavorful when actually grown in rock dust. I've had these before where they have no flavor. These are mildly sweet, but knowing that I don't have a really good variety of passion fruit now, I'm a little bit disappointed. Headed into the backyard here, we got some containers here. I got some pots, 5-gallon pots here, and I'm growing the yacon or yacon. I do have videos on this. This guy has been doing extremely well despite the cold with the sunchokes, which is another tuber that I grow. These guys have been growing really good. Inside the pots there, and you know they're pushing 6 feet tall. Oh, and check it out. This is really rare. I think this is only the first time I've ever seen them flower on me. So this is flowering. So I have heard that, you know, once they're flower, then they're ready to be harvested. For me personally, I'm just gonna wait until the cold gets them, and then I'm gonna dig up some of the tubers. And be sure to check my past episodes for actually me digging up some of the Yacon tubers and how they look. One of the things happening in the backyard here are my persimmons. So my persimmons, you can see I got literally hundreds on the tree there, and I'm waiting for them to be fully ripe before I harvest them, because if I went to Whole Foods or even the farmer's market, you know, they're probably harvesting the fruit way too early. Now, when you grow your own foods at home, you get to choose when you want to harvest them, and I want to harvest them at the peak ripeness and also the peak flavor. If I wanted, you know, unripe stuff, I'd just go down the store to buy it. Another thing happening is my avocado tree. So yeah, I don't have this on the show too much, but I do have a few videos of this. This is a Mexicola avocado. It's a small black skin, high fat content with edible skin. These guys are delicious. And I'm so excited because check it out. You can see right here, this guy's actually starting to push some buds and hopefully soon start to flower. And maybe this year I'll even get some fruit if it doesn't get too cold over the winter. In the past years, it's gotten too cold and then the buds have all dropped off. So maybe this year will be different. So cross your fingers for me. For long-time viewers, you may have known that I had some issues with some wasps. So I put up a fake wasp nest, because if a wasp see a wasp nest, they'll actually go somewhere else. And actually, after I put this up, I seem to have less problems. So at this point, I definitely have to say this is definitely worth a shot to see if it works for you. These are the Jerusalem artichokes that I'm growing next to the back fence with the barking dog from the neighbors. And what I like to do about this time, because they are drying out here, I'll actually just take my clippers and I'll clip them off, you know, maybe like just leaving a foot in the ground. And the reason why I do this is because this will basically allow you to basically clean this up, you know, get it composted. But it'll also let you know where you have some Jerusalem artichokes underneath the ground, because you do not want to dig these guys up until you're ready to eat them. If you do dig them up early, then you will want to store them in a bucket, basically covered in soil, basically like they're still in the ground, but in a container, because that's how they like to be stored. So check it out over here. We can show you guys some Jerusalem artichokes. And here's some right here that's been exposed out of the ground, and this is a nice example here. These guys are actually high in inulin, not insulin, inulin, which is a prebiotic which basically feeds your beneficial microflora in your intestines. So this guy, you could actually eat these guys, or you could actually plant this just under the ground like this, and it'll actually sprout up and grow new plants next year. So one of the things I'm going to do today is actually probably harvest a bunch of the sunchokes to have to eat for the upcoming week. Alright, so I'm just cleaning up some of that sunchokes now. I have several patches of them all over my yard. Actually, these guys kind of escaped a little bit, so you know, these guys can literally take over your yard, but when I think something takes over and produces food, I think that's only a good thing. But you may want to, you know, contain it in a raised bed with a bottom or a container. But check this out, here's just some of them here. And I want to show you guys this one right here. It's like particularly impressive. This guy right here is literally like the size of a tree. Check it out, this is me. These are my Feijoa trees, and you can see this thing towers above my Feijoa trees. I mean, this thing is probably at least 20 feet tall. So, you know, I've never seen a sunchoke plant grow this large. And, you know, most people, maybe they get 6 to 10 feet, but this is insane. This is a testament of growing actually in rich compost and building your soil, but also using the rock dust trace minerals, which as a trace minerals, which basically supercharges your growth that you could see here. As sad as I am that the summer season has ended and the weather's getting cooler, I'm happy that it's always time for a new beginning. And what we're doing here in this raised bed made of repurposed walkway, this is actually my old walkway, cut up, and we basically strapped it and made a raised bed out of it. I mean, you could literally make a raised bed out of almost anything. You can see we have this all planted out in lettuce. We got the red lettuce and also the green lettuce. Also got some frisee and escarole. in here, as well as some edible flowers, decorative on the border. And we planted these guys out at 6-inch spacing, and we did offset rows. So, just in a little while, this is going to be a ton of leafy greens to eat. Now, I did start the lettuce earlier than some of the other leafy greens I'm starting out for the winter time, because they tend to grow slower, especially when it gets colder. So hopefully they'll get a strong foothold and be putting out real good by the time it gets cooler and there's less sun happening, because the days are also growing shorter. So in any case, that'll bring us to the end today. The sun's setting and I got a few more things to do here in my garden. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, learning more about what's growing on here in my garden. And I always want to encourage you guys that yes, you can grow year-round wherever you live, even if that means growing indoors or having a hoop house with a compost pile that's heating it up. I have many excellent videos that explain how to grow sprouts indoors, or how to set up a hoop house with an active compost pile where you can actually burn your hand. It's so hot, to keep things warm, so you can grow things like kale and collard greens and some of the other brassica family plants that don't mind too much cold. So once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time, and remember, keep on growing.